Another important part to the Hypervac sweeper is the water system. So what's crucial to making the water system function properly is making sure your filters are clean at all times. So one of the filters on the truck is right here, which is a micron filter that is between the water tanks and the pumps. So what that does is keeps debris from getting to your pump. I recommend changing this at least every other day or every other fill up. It's a common thing. It's very easy to check while the hopper or while the water is filling. So while you're filling the tanks, you can pop this filter out. It's a blue filter here with a screen. It can easily be removed. You can wash it out, clean it out, make sure it's clean before use. And then also ensure, I've seen it happen before, there's an O-ring on both sides. Make sure you do not lose this O-ring when you're doing the filter cleaning, because the O-ring is crucial to the performance of this filter. And then you can just insert it back in and then screw it back into place. We also have two more filters that are in between the pump and the spray bars or any other water function. So this is a filter after the pump to make sure any other really fine particles don't get into our nozzles and clog them. You can change those by coming into your control box here and grabbing what we call our filter wrench. You can then come over here, just pop it up around the filter, loosen it, then you can remove it by hand. And inside this filter housing is another filter that will have to be replaced periodically as it gets dirty, but you can wash this out, dump out this container if it's collected with any water, and then insert it back in after you've cleaned it. Once again, this O-ring is crucial to performance around the housing of this filter, so make sure the O-ring is back in its proper place prior to reinstalling the filter on the truck. And there is two of these, one here in the front and then one behind it. I recommend checking these every month. So once a month, checking these filters just to make sure they're clean is adequate. And then you can tighten it back up and then put your clamp back in your control box and you're back up and running. So along with making sure your filters are clean to help the water nozzles and pumps function as they should, what's also important is making sure our nozzles are cleaned out. So oftentimes you'll see a spray bar, which we have at each gutter broom or other water nozzles on the truck, that you will see some of the nozzles are working and some of them aren't. So if you have one or two nozzles not working, that oftentimes means that one nozzle that isn't working is clogged up or has some sort of debris keeping water from coming out. So how we check that is by removing the nozzle and checking the filter that's within the nozzle. So you do that by grabbing a wrench. It's very easy to just pop it on, remove one of the nozzles, and once you get the nozzle off, you'll see that it's made up of two pieces inside. One of them is the filter itself, and one of them is the nozzle. So this filter is a little half circle shape, and it's important to make sure this is clean and debris free. You can easily clean this by washing it off with some water in the sink or wherever you can easily access a water source. And then also your nozzle itself. So this little small pinhole sometimes will get debris in it as well. You can easily remove it by taking a thin piece of wire or maybe a paper clip and just pop it through that hole, dislodging whatever might be inside. Once you've cleaned the filter and make sure your hole is clear, you just pop it back in, just like you removed it. Put the filter back in with the dome shape facing upward away from the nozzle. Install it and then screw it back on. When you screw it back on, it's important to make sure your nozzle is aligned properly, because these nozzles do a fan, and you don't want that fan to be the direction, the way the truck will move. You want it to be perpendicular to the truck's movement. That way you get full coverage along the sweep path. The last step to making sure the nozzle is reinstalled correctly is by holding the nozzle itself and making sure it's in the spray location you want it, and then tightening the collar around the nozzle.